Good morning from Oxford, Carl. Welcome to video 31. Now, I know what you're thinking. What happened to video 30? Well, we'll talk about that some other day. Trust me. I'll read you that one when you're about 10 years old. In the meantime, welcome to the story of Rapunzel. I've also been experimenting a bit with the formats. I think this is nicer. Rapunzel. Once upon a time there lived a man and his wife who were very unhappy because they had no children. These good people had a little window at the back of their house, which looked into the most lovely garden, full of all manner of beautiful flowers and vegetables. But the garden was surrounded by a high wall, and no one dared to enter it, for it belonged to a witch of great power, who was feared by the whole world. One day the woman stood at the window overlooking the garden, and she saw there a bed full of the finest rampion. The leaves looked so fresh and green that she longed to eat them. Desire grew by day and day, and just because she knew she couldn't possibly get any, she pined away and became quite pale and wretched. Then her husband grew alarmed and said, "What ails you, dear wife?" "Oh," she answered, "if I don't get some rampion to eat out of the garden behind the house, I know I shall die." The man, who loved her dearly, thought to himself, "Come, rather than let your wife die, you shall fetch her some rampion, no matter what the cost." So at dusk he climbed over the wall in the witch's garden, and hastily gathering a handful of rampion leaves, he returned them to his wife. She made them into a salad, which tasted so good that a longing for forbidden food was greater than ever. If she were to know any peace of mind, there was nothing for it but the husband should climb over the garden wall again and fetch her some more. So at dusk over he got, but when he reached the other side, he drew back in terror, for there, standing before him, was the old witch. "How dare you," she said with a wrathful glance, "climb into my garden and steal my rampion like a common thief? You shall suffer for your foolhardiness." "Oh," he implored, "pardon my presumption. Necessity alone drove me to the deed. My wife saw your rampion from her window, and conceived such a desire for it that she would have certainly died had her wish not been gratified." The witch's anger was a little pleased, and she said, "If it is as you say, you may take as much rampion away as you like, on one condition only, that you give me the child your wife will shortly bring into the world. All will go well with it, and I will look after it like a mother." The man in his terror agreed to everything she asked, and soon as the child was born, the witch appeared, and having given it the name Rapunzel, which is the same as rampion, she carried it off with her. Rapunzel was the most beautiful child under the sun. When she was 12 years old, the witch shut her up in a tower, in the middle of a great wood, and the tower had neither stairs nor doors, only high up in the very top a small window. When the old witch wanted to get in, she stood underneath and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your golden hair." For Rapunzel had wonderful long hair, and was finely spun gold. Whenever she heard the witch's voice, she unloosed her plaits, and let her hair fall down out of the window about 20 yards below, and the old witch climbed up by it. After they had lived like this for a few years, it happened one day that a prince was riding through the wood and passed by the tower. As he drew near he heard someone singing so sweetly that he stood spellbound and listened. It was Rapunzel in her loneliness, trying to while away her time by letting her sweet voice ring out into the wood. The prince longed to see the owner of the voice, but he sought in vain for a door in the tower. He rode home, but was so haunted by the song he heard that he returned every day to the wood and listened. One day, when he was out standing thus behind a tree, he saw the old witch approach and heard her call out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your golden hair." Then Rapunzel let down her plaits, and the witch climbed up by them. "So that's a staircase," as it said the prince. "Then I too will climb it and try my luck." So the following day at dusk he went to the foot of the tower and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your golden hair." And as soon as she had let it down, the prince climbed up. At first Rapunzel was terribly frightened when a man came in, for she had never seen one before. But the prince spoke to her so kindly, and told her at once that his heart had been so touched by her singing, that he felt he should know no peace of mind till he had seen her. Very soon Rapunzel forgot her fear, and when he asked her to marry him, she consented at once. "For," she thought, "he is young and handsome, and I'll certainly be happier with him than the old witch." So she put her hand in his and said, "Yes, I will gladly go with you, only how am I to get down out of the tower? Every time you come to see me, you must bring a skein of silk with you, and I will make a ladder of them, and when it is finished I will climb down by it, and you will take me away on your horse." They arranged that till the ladder was ready he was to come to her every evening, because the old woman was away with her during the day. The old witch, of course, knew nothing what was going on, till one day Rapunzel, not thinking what she was about, turned to the witch and said, "How is it, good mother, you so much harder to pull up than the young prince? He is always with me in a moment." "Oh, you wicked child!" cried the witch. "What is this I hear? I thought I'd hidden you safely from the whole world, and despite of it you have managed to deceive me." In her wrath she seized Rapunzel's beautiful hair and wound it round and round her left hand, and then grasping a pair of scissors in her right, snip snap, off it came, and the beautiful plaits lay on the ground, And worse than this, she was so hard-hearted that she took Rapunzel to a lonely desert place and left her there to live in loneliness and misery. But on the evening of the day which she had driven poor Rapunzel away, the witch fastened the plates onto a hook in the window, and when the prince came and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your golden hair," she let them down, and the prince climbed as usual, but instead of beloved Rapunzel, he found the old witch, who fixed her evil, glittering eyes on him, and cried mockingly, "Ah, you thought to find your lady love, but the pretty bird has flown, and its song is dumb. The cat caught it, and will scratch your eyes out too. Rapunzel is lost to you forever, you will never see her more." The prince was beside himself with grief, and in his despair he jumped right down the tower, and though he escaped with his life, the thorns among which he fell pierced his eyes out. Then he wandered, blind and miserable, through the wood, eating nothing but roots and berries, and weeping and lamenting at the loss of his lovely bride. So he wandered about for some years, as wretched and as unhappy as could well be, until at last he came to the desert place where Rapunzel was living. Of a sudden he heard a voice which seemed strangely familiar to him. He walked eagerly in the direction of the sound, and when he was quite close, Rapunzel recognized him and fell on his neck and wept. But two of her tears touched his eyes, and in a moment they became quite clear again. Then he led her to his, and he saw as well as he had ever done. Then he led her to his kingdom, and they were received and welcomed with great joy, and they lived happily ever after. That's a short one, Carl, but I really like the new formatting, and I really like the way the pictures are displayed on this one. I hope you like it too. Until tomorrow with 32. Love you to pieces.